A powerful storm system is set to impact the United States over the next few days, and this will bring some significant severe weather, including damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes, all the way from the central and southern plains back into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Additionally, a major flooding threat is possible this weekend in already very saturated areas in the central plains and the Mississippi River Valley. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And right now, we still have some big storms happening all the way back up into the Midwest. A big complex of thunderstorms was able to ramp up last night and is now moving across Wisconsin and will be moving through Michigan later this morning. And unfortunately, this is the area of thunderstorm activity that brought significant severe weather in and around Omaha. We ended up having a small-scale tornado outbreak last night, which we were covering live on this channel, and it got really crazy. We even had a tornado emergency with multiple different large tornadoes that were happening. It really got crazy there for about a couple of hours, but that system's now moving to the east, and we could have another round of severe weather today in the Midwest. But more importantly, this is going to be a threat that stretches all the way from Texas into the Great Lakes. So today is going to be another long day, I think, of severe weather. Elsewhere, we do have some showers and thunderstorms starting to ramp up in the southern plains. A lot of moisture coming out of the Pacific. We should have a much more organized risk of severe weather as we go into later today and as well as tomorrow in these areas. Now let's talk more about the severe weather potential for the next few days, and we'll begin with what's happening today, which is Flying Fences Friday. We have a large slight risk of severe weather, which goes from the Great Lakes into North Texas. This includes areas like Chicago, St. Louis, all the way back to Oklahoma City, Joplin, Missouri, and just outside of Dallas, Fort Worth. And the marginal threat does extend back up into the Great Lakes and a little sliver there of Texas into Indiana. Now, our main concern for today will be large to very large hail, and this is mainly going to be a concern this afternoon and evening in Oklahoma and Texas. This is where we think that there could be some apple-sized hail out of a couple of storms. And for the record, this is not very different from what we saw yesterday in terms of our little tornado outbreak that we had in both Iowa and Nebraska. But generally speaking, this will be definitely more of a hail risk than anything else here across parts of Oklahoma and as well as into Texas. Our tornado risk for today is a bit smaller than what we had at least outlined yesterday, but a couple of tornadoes will be a possibility in parts of the Midwest. They have removed the tornado risk from both Wisconsin and Michigan, mainly due to capping concerns, which basically means that we'll have basically something that's preventing storms from developing, and it should prevent our tornado risk from even occurring in these areas. But I still wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado risk. But I think overall, even our tornado risk across the Midwest is going to be conditional today, including areas like St. Louis, Chicago, and Indianapolis. Our more elevated tornado risk will be in central and southwestern Oklahoma and into North Texas. There is a 5% tornado risk outlined by the Storm Prediction Center, which does include Wichita Falls and Oklahoma City. So definitely make sure that you're staying weather aware here. This will kick off in the very late afternoon and early evening. By tomorrow, our risk of severe weather doesn't really move a whole lot. It will shift slightly further down to the south, where we do have a large slight risk from southern Missouri back through Dallas and Fort Worth and North Texas, and then a marginal threat through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania into the Ohio Valley. Generally speaking, this is going to be some isolated hail and wind. We're not really expecting much of any tornado risk in this area, but once again, our hail risk is elevated in Texas. We could see some more destructive hailstones tomorrow afternoon and evening in parts of central Texas and North Texas, where hail could be as large again as the size of apples. Apple-sized hail potentially 3 days in a row. Our tornado risk is also a bit more elevated. We have yet again another 5% tornado risk in place in central Texas and back through areas in North Texas, just outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and then a 2% tornado risk including western Arkansas and southeastern Oklahoma. Once again, a few tornadoes are going to be a possibility. Sunday is a really weird day because Sunday has the potential to be an outbreak, but I think there will be some problems with this setup. The Storm Prediction Center, for the time being, has a large marginal and slight risk of severe weather in place, stretching from central and southern Illinois back into Texas. This could easily become something more concerning as we get closer. It's going to depend a lot on our mesoscale features. The synoptic setup right now for this setup is really impressive. We have a very strong trough and also a lot of wind shear, but it's going to come down to our mesoscale features. For right now, though, I would at least expect scattered severe weather with damaging winds, hail, and a few tornadoes being a possibility. If the mesoscale features look a lot better when we get closer, there could easily be strong tornadoes on Sunday. Now let's talk more in detail about our tornado risk and the timing for severe weather. We'll begin with our tornado risk for today, and notice how our significant tornado parameter values will actually be on the rise this afternoon across parts of Illinois, Michigan, and even in the Midwest. But generally speaking, it's going to actually take a supercell to form here for this threat to be materialized, and I don't really think we're going to see much of anything there. But once we get closer to 6 to 7 o'clock, I do think the tornado risk will start to increase. You'll notice that the values really increase anywhere from Texas and Oklahoma back into Missouri and Illinois. It's going to take a discrete supercell at surface base for this activity to really start to materialize in more of a tornadic driven threat. But I think overall it's going to be a lot of hail and wind. This is eventually by 9 to 10 o'clock. We still have a fairly favorable environment for tornadoes anywhere from Oklahoma back into Texas and then also across the Midwest. But I think generally speaking, most of our storms in the Midwest are going to be elevated with hail and wind. There will be a low tornado chance though if any of those storms are able to become surface based. As we go into tomorrow, the threat of tornadoes will start to increase during the early to mid-afternoon hours across North Texas and southern Oklahoma, where our significant tornado parameter values will be increasing. We even have some up near 8 and 9, so a slightly more elevated tornado risk here tomorrow in the southern plains, and that'll eventually transition into a low-end tornado risk even as we go into the evening hours as well on Saturday. So here's the timing for today, beginning with the Midwest, where we have some elevated showers and thunderstorms moving across your region this morning. This all clears out after lunchtime, and eventually by the afternoon, a resparking of some showers and thunderstorms is likely. I think this will be mostly isolated hail and wind, maybe a brief tornado, but generally, again, a lot of these storms are going to be elevated as we have this whole complex of storms that's moving through this morning that's going to stabilize the atmosphere. That's going to cause some problems for any redevelopment, but I do think as we go past sunset tonight, we'll have a better shot of at least seeing some hail and wind storms here across the Midwest, and then eventually by the overnight hours, it's just some scattered showers and thunderstorms, a few strong storms out there, but severe weather, a much lower chance as we head into late tonight into early tomorrow morning. By Saturday, there will be another chance for some isolated hail and wind in the Ohio Valley, but again, that'll be mostly a morning threat. Not expecting a whole lot to happen in the afternoon in those areas because of all the rain that we're going to be seeing during the morning, which again will stabilize the atmosphere. Now, the southern plains, I think, will be one of the hot spots for severe storms just over the next 3 days, but honestly, over the next couple of weeks. This is what it looks like for the rest of today. So again, some showers and thunderstorms will start to fire up, I think right around or just after sunset tonight. This is about 8 o'clock. Again, notice how there are some storms out there, mostly elevated. These are the ones that are going to produce some strong downburst winds, some large hail, and again, maybe an isolated tornado threat, but I think our tornado risk really starts to ramp up as we go into the early to mid evening hours, and that'll be mainly centered across central and southern Oklahoma and North Texas with a complex of storms firing off. Eventually, by the late evening and overnight hours, these storms will continue to push east with hail, wind, and also a couple of tornadoes remaining possible, and then once we go into tomorrow morning, that area of thunderstorm activity will move towards Cape Girardeau and also just south there of St. Louis, while another line of storms will attempt to fire across Oklahoma and Texas, also producing some damaging winds and isolated hail. So it's going to stay active in Oklahoma over the next 24 hours, and if it wasn't already active enough, another round of storms will ramp up around the mid to late afternoon tomorrow. This is 4 o'clock, and we got some strong to severe storms firing off back over near Abilene and Wichita Falls with hail, wind, and a couple of tornadoes being possible. I honestly think our tornado risk could be a bit more elevated, especially if any of these storms can get into that high shear wind environment that we're going to have in place. It's going to be a contingency, once again, on these storms being surface-based, but obviously what we saw yesterday was a bunch of surface-based supercells, and we saw what happened. We had a couple large tornadoes back over in Iowa and as well as Nebraska, so this is another day that we need to watch for very closely. I do personally think that tomorrow actually looks a bit more impressive than today when it comes to severe weather, and I think Sunday, it really has the highest potential of producing an outbreak, but still Sunday has some question marks on the mesoscale features, but our synoptic setup for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday looks very impressive. Notice how we have an intensifying trough as we go into Sunday morning in the southern plains, and we have our low-level jet really ramping up here across the deep south, and this is going to allow, I think, for more elevated tornado risk if we're able to see some discrete supercells, but it's going to depend a lot, again, on our mesoscale features, and we'll know a lot more about that tomorrow. We're going to have another video tomorrow morning, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates, and as long as this threat does look a bit more elevated, we'll have an update talking more about that tomorrow, but it is going to be a pretty organized trough. This is a much more organized setup than what we've had the last few days, where we're talking about very small shortwave troughs and also just a strong area of low-level winds that's stretching across a large area. We actually have a lot more spin with this low pressure system, which should allow for a more elevated threat of tornadoes, but again, mesoscale features is what it's going to come down to, and then eventually by the middle of next week, things do quiet down a little bit. So let's talk more about the timing of severe weather beyond this weekend. So as we go into Sunday, we are going to be talking about another risk of severe storms. Notice how this trough organizes in the central and southern plains, and this will also spark a slightly more elevated fire risk back over in New Mexico due to the high winds and dry air on the backside of this low. This one looks like by around 6 o'clock o'clock on Sunday. We're going to have a lot of thunderstorms out there, anywhere from around Houston, Texas, back into central Missouri near Jefferson and around St. Louis, with hail, wind, and a few tornadoes being possible. On Monday, the storm system will be weakening as it moves through the Great Lakes, but high winds will remain a possibility, and there will also be a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. But I think Monday's severe weather is pretty low. On Tuesday, I'm not really expecting a whole lot of severe weather. We could see some storms spark back over in the high plains, but I'm not seeing anything right now that looks overly impressive on Tuesday. By Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be watching for more scattered showers and thunderstorms, and I do think our next big shot of severe weather beyond this weekend will probably fall around Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, with another trough that'll move over the Rockies. That'll create some turbulent mixing, and we could get a bit more of an organized severe weather threat. But again, at this point, it's a little too early to tell what's going to be happening there. Just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates, as we'll keep you posted with the latest on anything that does happen here beyond the next few days. And we do have a significant flooding threat that will be possible over the next few days. Unfortunately, very saturated grounds are about to pick up even more additional rainfall, where we are expecting 3 to 6 inches of rain to fall here over the next 5 days, anywhere from St. Louis back over into central and southern Oklahoma and even near Wichita Falls, Texas. And areas like Missouri do not need more rainfall. What we had earlier this month was plenty, and we have more than enough rain really to last areas like Missouri probably for about a month or two. And unfortunately, more rain is coming, so be ready for the potential for localized flooding. And if you have any friends or family in this region, please alert them and make sure that they're ready for the threat of flooding. Turn around, don't drown on the roadways. You already know what to do. Just stay safe out there. It's going to be a very active stretch of weather. There's a moderate risk of excessive rainfall already in place for Saturday in these areas, so we again are expecting some significant rainfall. Some localized areas, by the way, could pick up as much as 10 inches of rain, so definitely a dangerous stretch of weather ahead when it comes to both severe weather and as well as flooding. Obviously not nearly as bad as the first week of April, but nonetheless, it is still a significant severe weather event and also a flooding event. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We'll likely be live later today. It's not for certain, but we will probably be live, so click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates. Subscribe to the channel. Also follow us on Facebook for rapid fire updates in case we do not go live for some reason. The link is down below at Max Velocity WX. And also, we will likely have a video tomorrow morning, and we'll probably be live tomorrow. I think tomorrow has a better chance of being live compared to today, but nonetheless, possibility of being live every day through Sunday, so make sure you're staying tuned, and we'll see you guys all again in the next one.